It's been a while since I did a crochet kit test. I think I'm going to take care of that now. So grab your beverage and perhaps a project and settle in to see how this one turns out. Hello and welcome to our Back to Miss Crafts Lots Lair. I am Barbie, and today I am here with another crochet kit test. So this particular crochet kit does come from Hobby Lobby. I feel the need to interject the fact that I understand that not everybody wants to go to Hobby Lobby. However, for me, with the decline of our favorite craft store, I have found the necessity in going to Hobby Lobby for certain things. I try to spend as little as possible there. However, it's a thing that has to happen, I think, in my world. With that being said, let's get into this particular crochet kit. So for today, I do have this cute little fox. And yeah, as with most of the other kits that I have found, it does include everything that you need in order to make it. Hopefully enough yarn. This one is different though because it actually tells you what size crochet hook is in this particular kit. I honestly think that that is the first time that I have ever seen a kit to actually tell you what size crochet hook they have supposedly given you in the kit. So I do have to say that that is a pleasant surprise. Makes one, hopefully we have enough yarn. That is always my personal worry when it comes to kits, is having enough yarn to make the critter. So let me break into this and we will see what we have besides, I mean, I think I can see everything in this bag that we would need, but let's see. Put that to the side so then that way I can actually start talking. All right. So we have the 3 different colors, the orange, the black, and the white. We also have the stitch markers and safety eyes all right there. And then here is that 2mm hook, which I do have to say, I'm getting a kind of stellar okay, so maybe not the first one because this is another hook from another kit, and this says that it is a 2.5mm. I don't know which one that was from. This one is another kit that I'm so I take that back, that was the first time I've ever seen the size on the hook. I'm wondering if that might be, I should have another one. Oh yeah, this one. Oh wait, is it this one? This is the Woobles, and it does say 4mm too. So I stand corrected. This is not the first time that I have seen a hook or seen the hook size plain as day. Anyway, they have vacuum sealed the fiber fluff. I am just gonna let this get some air to see how well this plumps up. So I'm gonna give it, ooh, well, there we go. Pretty generous amount of fiber fill. So I am going to take a look at the pattern. No, I'm pointing it at the wrong camera. I'm going to take a quick look at this pattern. I don't want to give too much away on the pattern in this video. So I am going to open this up and give you my take on this particular pattern. So we are off camera with the instructions, and it does give you the picture instructions on how to make the stitches. So that is good. I'm always pleased to see that. It's all written out there. I do not see a diagram when it comes to what you're supposed to, the stitches. So that is something else. So far, so good. So I am going to try to put this in such a way that you cannot see it on the camera, just for the fact, like, I don't want to be that person. So let's talk yarn real fast. So it's interesting. It's not the t-shirt yarn. However, it's also not exactly like the regular acrylic yarn. What does it say that they have given me? They're not stating what the fiber content is on the yarn. So I'm going to assume that it is an acrylic, just for the fact of, like, it doesn't feel as rough as the Red Heart yarn would. However, definitely not a cotton. That's for sure. So I am going to go ahead, flip this camera back to the desk view. I have the pattern off to the side because I don't want to be that kind of person. And I'm going to get to stitching this foxy. I am always the center pull girly, so I am probably going to mangle this skein a bit, but the skein does not need to really survive past this, so I'm not that worried about it. I don't think. You know what? It's going to be a ways. Oh, there it is. Easy pull. Dar. So yeah, I am going to completely mangle this yarn. I mangled the yarn. Oh well. All right. First impressions. First impressions are, it doesn't look like this hook is going to be big enough to catch this particular yarn. It looks so tiny. And it was a bit on the fiddlier side for me to get this magic ring done and the first 2 rounds done. So this is going to be an interesting one, I think. But I think that is more because I'm not used to it. So if you are a beginner, this one might be just a little bit confusing for that fact. And this is where I fight this container to get a stitch marker out. Now it is on to finish the head. I'm going to pop a stitch marker in this last stitch so I know where it's at and continue on. Let's try this again. Maybe third time is a charm. So I have gotten the orange done. Per instruction, I did put the eyes in already before I started and changed to the white. Those eyes are on between the last two rows worked of the orange. So I would say that it made it kind of difficult to crochet around that first row of white. If you are working on a pattern that says to do that, I would basically wait. I would wait to finish off the work even rows before you attempt to put in the safety eyes, just for the fact that it did make it kind of difficult to work that color change row. So, with that being said, I am going to get farther going on this. Also, real fast too, the yarn is extremely splitty. So it is taking me some time to make sure everything is as tidy as I want it to be. The inside is probably not as tidy because I'm worried about what it looks like from the outside and not so much from what it looks like on the inside. I know I sound like I am probably talking way too fast. I apologize, but yes, I am going to get back to working on this. It has taken me to now to realize that I have been not doing this correctly. So I just work in spirals when I am working on amigurumi. This is in spirals. The pattern tells me to join and chain one. I am not going to go back to fix that. So it may change the outcome of the critter a little. However, I'm not too worried about it. I am just going to keep on going the way that I am. I am too far into this to undo it, just for transparency. I am starting on the next part, which is the nose. Once again, it goes into the chain one, um, slip stitch to join, chain one. I am just going to continue on with what I did with the head, where I'm just working in a spiral because, continuity. The little button part for the nose is done. However, according to the pattern, it only says that you are supposed to sew the tip of the nose with black yarn. That does not give me too much information. But how are we supposed to do this? Anyway, so I am going to take, I believe I am going to take about 24-ish, maybe a little bit more inches of yarn. I don't know if this is going to be too much, and I don't know if this is going to mess up my yarn stuff, but the nose on this critter looks pretty darn large. So as you can see there, his nose is pretty good size. And in order to do that with this yarn, I'm going to need to make a lot of passes with this particular yarn. So I am going to go here. I mean, I think that is a reasonable outline. And then I'm just going to keep going over it quite a few times to give myself a rather chunky nose. Well, or give the critter a rather chunky nose. I'm going to do this before I stuff. It does say that I'm supposed to do this before I cut the, well, I mean, if you're going in order, it does say sew the tip of the nose and then cut the yarn and leave a 15 centimeter long tail to weave. So to sew, we shall see. I wouldn't give this a medal for being the most clear pattern. Okay, that is what I have. So I am going to go one more time into the top of the nose and then tie this booger off. I did seem to cut a little extra of the black than I needed to. So put that down in your notes. So I used about half of that. So I think you can get away with about 12 inches of the black yarn to tie his nose. It also says that I need to sew this onto the head. I'm going to wait until all of the pieces are done, and then I will tackle sewing everything together, which means I have also not stuffed the nose yet. I think now that I'm getting to the body, I think that this might be where it's going to come in and get kind of funky with the working in the spiral. So that being said, um, let's see how correct I am about that. I hate to say it, but I think that I am officially I hate to work with black yarn years old. Transparency again. 2 ears are done. I did make them like this because when working on these ears, I realized that you go from having 18 stitches in round 5 of the ears. I'm going to give you this amount of the pattern because I am genuinely confuzzled. So round 5 you have 18 stitches in the ear. Then it says from on round 6 and 7 you are supposed to chain 1, single crochet in the next 8 stitches, and join. And it is saying that you are going to have 12 single crochet. And so you're going to have 12. You're supposed to have 12 stitches at the end of that. The math ain't mathing in my brain right now. So I just worked 2 rows even. So, and that's kind of what it looks like to me in the picture. There might be some decrease, but it does not justify 6 stitches of decrease in 2 rows. If it was an extra row, I could see a double decrease, a single crochet decrease on each side of the ear, potentially, maybe, possibly. However, like I said, I don't see dropping 6 stitches in 2 rows. That just sounds off to me. So this might be a Frankenfox. I'm not sure. And the award for the most fiddly round ever goes to this pattern, because every other stitch not wanting to do that again. Okay, so all of the pieces are done. I just need to sew them all together and be done with this particular project. is done. So I think he turned out really well. There's not a whole lot of instructions as to how to put them together. As a matter of fact, it says using photo as guide for placement of pieces and sewing together by using the plastic needle. So that's not even a correct sentence. Using photo as guide for placement of pieces and sewing together by using the plastic needle. And the picture that is given, I'll just do it this way. That is the picture given, which is the same picture that is the packaging. Anyway, so it was more or less a guessing game as to how to put this guy together, but I think he came out pretty well. He is a little crooked in the front, but other than that, I think he turned out pretty good for $4.49, which was the cost for this kit. I would say it is worth it. You get a fairly decent crochet hook, and you do get your 2 stitch markers of the style that I'm okay with. That's probably my second favorite style of stitch markers. Definitely the stitch markers that I have the largest stash of. Leftover yarn. I did have enough to get through the entire project, and I have leftover yarn. I would bet that I probably have enough to at least make another head, if not an entire other critter. I did end up for cuts. I did end up using quite a bit of the black because of the nose, although the remaining black that I have cut here is probably big enough to sew the embroidery on the tip of the nose. So plastic came with a plastic yarn needle. I did switch out for my metal one while I was sewing up. I did do a little bit of sew with the plastic one, not a whole lot. I wasn't very fond. I'm not very fond of the plastic needles, but I have been, at least it's there if you don't have a lot of tools already. The only thing that you need really from that is not in the kit is a pair of scissors or nail clippers or something of the sorts to cut to trim. But I do like him. I do think he came out very cute, and I would not say that this is a horrible kit. Don't buy it. Other than, I mean, generally the store that I bought it at. However, that's a whole other story. But if you are in Hobby Lobby and you decide to grab one of these kinds of crochet kits, I think it would be okay. Like I said, the yarn did kind of get splitty, but nothing that I couldn't really handle myself. So that is what I would say about this one. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Also, give me a little fox comment or fox emoji in the comments if you've made it this far. I think he's really cute. So until next time, bye!